We're going to go into the origin of the word dome and where it comes from. Also the word firmament, the direction of the sun and how it moves according to scriptures. Scriptures flat earthers misinterpret, and your true inheritance according to the scriptures. We're going to stick strictly to the scriptures, and we're going to show you exactly the way and the direction of how the sun actually moves across the sky according to the scriptures, and see if this lines up with the flat earth model that you're seeing right now. And this will be James 1:11. For the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat, but it withereth the grass, and the flower thereof falleth, and the grace of the fashion of it perisheth. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. Here's another precept. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26. Be ye angry, and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. You've been seeing the sun rise all your life. Your mom and your dad has been seeing the sun rise all their life. Your grandma and granddad has been seeing the sun rise and set all their life. And your great-grandma and your great-great-grandma and great-great-grandpa and great-great-great-grandpa. Ask one of these new age people that are sun worshippers and sun gazers, have the sun ever glitched before? The powers that be want you to give over into nihilism, to deny a fundamental reality that you've been seeing all your life, which the scriptures also confirms the reality of this. It never speaks of a sun swinging overhead or passing overhead. It never says in Ephesians 4, chapter 26, let not the sun swing away towards thy wrath, or let not the sun spin away unto your wrath, or to rotate away from. These scriptures do not exist. It would be impossible for the sun to move up and rise up from the horizon and set down and go down, like it says in Ephesians and like it says in James, if it's inside the dome, you see. Now listen very closely to Jeremiah 31 through 36 and 7. It's saying, thus saith the Lord. This is the Lord thy God. This is the Most High Power saying this. This is the Most High Ahia saying this. Jeremiah 31:36. If those ordinances depart before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Next verse, 37. Thus saith the Lord, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord. Now, after hearing Jeremiah 31 and those two verses that we just went over, what it's really about is about taking the birthright of the children of Israel. Basically, if the heavens can be measured and quantified, you see, and everything in the deep has been measured and discovered, and all the creatures in the face of the deep, all the stars in the heaven have been discovered, measured, and all of these things, then will the Most High say, okay, I'm done with this nation. I'm done with the children of Israel that are my chosen people. And this is thus saith the Lord. This is the Most High speaking. This flat earth doctrine was created by the UN, which owns NASA, and we know that the UN consists of the Table of Rome. This is the Club of Rome. These are the Romans that want to take our birthright as the children of Israel. They say that in Hebrew that NASA means deceiver. If you don't know what the deception is, then you are deceived. This is the ultimate deception, to get you to believe a man-made earth that they created the image of and gave to you. I've been listening to what flat earthers been saying, like the leader of the flat earth, which is Mark Sargent. He believes that the stars in the heavens is a hologram, is a computer graphics simulation, and he is a computer graphics simulator and video game designer.
you see. He wants you to believe that that's not real, which that's actually your inheritance. Heaven and the new earth, all three of those things are your inheritance, your true inheritance, the 144,000, the elect, the chosen amongst the Most High, that are the leaders amongst us. These, it even says in the book of Enoch that the deep space, the second heaven, will be divided into 12 pieces, and those 12,000 in each of the tribes that's sealed will be given a portion of the heavens. And it says that they will travel by the speed of thought. Y'all been seeing it in these cartoons all the time. You notice Goku, right? How he can do instant transmission. Notice how he puts those fingers over the eye of his mind and he think himself to be at Namek while he's on Earth, and then he literally teleports there. Then he thinks himself to go back to Earth in an instant teleportation, and he's there. Even the Edomite Romans that created this flat earth doctrine for you, the children of Israel, to believe so that they can travel amongst the stars and steal your birthright, knows that the speed of light is very insufficient. It takes so many light years just to travel across the Milky Way galaxy that we're in right now. That it's very insufficient. You would have to merge with a machine and get into transhumanism, and fuse yourself with that and download your consciousness into a computer and then just keep doing maintenance on the computer. That's what Satan or Lucifer, which they believe in, promised them, which we know Satan is a knockoff. He's a counterfeit. Don't that sound familiar? That sound like your birthright, according to the book of Enoch, about you traveling amongst the stars and traveling at the speed of thought. This is when you put on incorruption and you be likened unto a god, likened unto the angels that's in the heavens. Enoch was loved by the Most High so much that he gave him the incorruptible body already, first, before anybody, along with Elijah. This also plays into the prophecy of the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verses 3 through 8, about them cutting us off from being a nation, that our name be no more in remembrance. Those two verses in Jeremiah 31 is going into cutting you off, them discovering all of those things so that they can cut you off from being a nation. They know they cannot count all the stars in the deepness and the vastness of the second heaven. Also in the face of the deep of all the oceans around the world, in the different waters and bodies of waters and rivers, they have not discovered all the creatures therein and all the things that lie beneath. So far they only discovered 2 to 3% of the surface of just the deepness of the waters. Basically, the Most High gave them something that's pretty much impossible to do. But there is one caveat to this. If they can influence your mind and create a belief system of you not believing in that which is your inheritance, the heavens, the stars, and these things, then when you see New Jerusalem, the new heaven, the new earth, and New Jerusalem coming down from heaven, you're going to think that that's a hologram. And by default, the people that are left standing, because there's going to be a lot of pestilence and famine and things that's causing death, those people that are left standing with this belief and this ideology that they have implanted in the minds of men, by believing in this by default, you will give up your inheritance. You will see New Jerusalem coming down from heaven, but you're going to think that that's a hologram. So by default, the elites gain the victory. By conquering the minds of men through doctrines and philosophies of men, through nihilism, which is the belief that reality isn't real and that it doesn't exist, they will gain the birthright by default. But we know that there's still going to be a remnant left on the earth that will believe in the truth, according to prophecy, so they still won't receive the inheritance according to Scripture. It's still going to go to the true children of Israel and not what the synagogue of Satan says are the children of Israel through and declared through the so-called UN.
We're going to focus on Matthew chapter 4, verses 8 from the King James, and there's a reason, because there's other different international and American Standard Bible versions that have different wrong interpretations. Like, for instance, when it says right here in the King James, it says, all the kingdoms of the world. Other translations outside the King James say the whole world, which these versions of the Bible took out scriptures like Judah mourneth in the gates with language, they are as black as the ground, and Revelations 1 verse 14 through 15 that describes a black Christ. And this is why it is required of us that are in this truth as Hebrews to not go outside and go and venturing out into these other different scriptures outside of the King James. Again, the devil tooketh him on an exceedingly high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them. Now, y'all know that this is not just going on in the physical realm, but this is also simultaneously going on in the spiritual realm. Where's the proof of that, you might say? Let's go back to the top of this same 4th chapter, and this is the first verse. And then was Yeshua led up of the Spirit unto the wilderness, to be tempted by the devil. That is the precept that also establishes that this is going on simultaneously in the spiritual realm as well. We already read Matthew 4, verse 8, but we're going to read 7, 8, and 9 all together. Yeshua said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Again, the devil tooketh him on an exceedingly high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Notice how Christ say in Matthew chapter 4, verse 7, it is written again. Let's add emphasis to the word again. You go down from 7 and jump down to the 8th verse, and it says, again the devil tooketh him on an exceedingly high mountain. Now, mountain is singular in that same verse, but notice how it keeps saying again. This showing you that the devil is taking him in the spiritual realm on an exceedingly high mountain and tempting him again, and then taking him on another mountain and tempting him again and saying the same temptation word you just see right there. And then he's taking him on another exceedingly high mountain somewhere around the world, and he's showing him the different buildings and different nations and kingdoms around it. And he's taking him to another high mountain and tempting him again and saying the same thing and tempting him over and over again, all the way until he showed him all the kingdoms of the world. Now, if you further go into the Strong's Concordance in Matthew chapter 4, verses 8, and you go to that word all, which is in the Strong's Concordance in the Greek, which is the number 3946, and the highlighted part reads, each part of a totality, or another way of saying it is a complete entirety of the whole entire thing. Now remember, he's being tempted over and over again. He's being brought on the top of this mountain and being tempted again, and then Christ is standing his ground and saying what he's saying in that scripture. And then he's being taken on another mountain again, and he's standing his ground and saying what he has to say again. Think about it. It wouldn't be that much of a temptation if you're taken up on a mountain one time and tempted one time, and then that's it. And yay, hooray, you've conquered all the different tricks and different angles and wiles of the devil. Of course, in that case, it's talking again and again in multiples over and over again. Wiles or tricks of the devil is plural. Flat earthers make it seem like he's being taken up on one mountain just once and being tempted and shown the whole entire world and all the kingdoms, all of them, and all the whole entire world at one time, which this simple breakdown just proves that that's not true.